The hardest puzzle in the 11th Hour, and one which I never actually give the answer to, not even in the inside story, is the name of the swan.
Right.
She's never mentioned by name, and I don't give it away. And I still won't tell anyone what it is, but I have decided that over the years to give a clue. And I say to them that the answer to the puzzle lies in the cards. Uh-huh. And there's this page here with some of the animals playing cards. Somewhere in there is the answer to the name of the swan.
So we're talking because both the 11th Hour and Animalia have been nominated by Guardian readers for our Best Australian Picture Book poll. How did you feel when you first heard that?
Oh, good old books. They're just hanging in there. No, it's lovely just to think that, you know, after all this time, yeah, they're still, you know, bringing joy to people. It's fantastic. So few books, you know, manage to sort of just stay and stick for another generation. Now it's done another generation again. There's grandparents buying these books for little kids who got it when they were kids, you know, which is sort of like really, really weird.
You know, I was a big Animalia kid, I'm going to say. I think it would appeal to a certain kind of child that loves detail, that loves a sense of intricacy. You know, it's not a book to be read through and then closed. It's a book to sort of be explored.
Yeah, all of what you say is exactly right. And because that was the sort of book that I liked.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing anything for a particular age group. As I said, it was just like a me book. It was a book for, you know, an 11-year-old adult me. And maybe that's part of the trick. Not growing up too much, not as you have to.
And so what was the draw to children's literature? Because was it purely sort of the work is there, I can get work as an illustrator?
Yeah, I mean, I could have very happily been a record cover designer, I think. I wanted to draw what I was in my mind, not what was in somebody else's mind. I did a couple of illustrations and I took it to a fellow called Bob Sessions. It was so much simpler in those days because really I took in two pictures, the horrible hairy hogs hurrying homeward on heavily harnessed horses, and it was crafty crimson cats carefully catching crusty crayfish. I'd done those two pictures and I took them to Bob. And actually the lazy lions lounging in the local library, that was half done. And he said, "Oh, what's this?" And I said, "Well, it's an alphabet book." And I was thinking, what an idiot, you know, as if the world needed another English language alphabet book. But he didn't say that. And he said, "All right, yeah, look, I think this is really interesting." And he liked the detail and the concept. And there was no question of, who's the age group? Is it for 5 to 8? Aren't these words a little difficult, you know? I managed to find my guy.
Yeah.
Right from the word go, and you know, that's just gold. I can remember actually Bob Sessions did say to me early on, he said, "Look, one of the pages, Graeme, I just wanted to run it past you, just a thought." And it was the V page, which was Victor V. Vulture, the vaudeville ventriloquist, versatile virtuoso of vociferous verbosity, vexatiously vocalizing at the Valhalla Variety Venue. He said, "Graeme, is that maybe a little too hard for some, you know, kids?" And I went, "Yeah, probably," but I had to figure out what those words meant. And, you know, isn't that the idea, that, you know, just shoot above a child's head, you know, aim above their head and encourage them to rise to the occasions. I mean, the worst thing you could possibly do is put your hands metaphorically on your knees and talk down to a child, because they go, "Yeah, get out of it," you know. Treat me with some respect, or, you know, give me a challenge.
So I read estimates, it sold about 5 million copies. And
yeah, apparently. Yeah.
And very big success both in Australia and America.
Yeah, it was here first. It came out in '86 in Australia. So we suddenly had money, not a lot, but hey, what are you going to do? Should we put a deposit on a house? Should we invest in shares? No, we bought 2 round-the-world air tickets and just took off.
Excellent.
And so we spent the whole of 1987 just goofing off in Africa and Europe and India and stuff. And when we got to England, I realised it was getting close to the time when the Americans were going to be publishing the book over there. So I got in touch and said, "Look, hi, I'm actually going to be, I'm traveling and I could be in America if you wanted me to." We arrived in New York one evening quite late and checked into a hotel that the publisher had organised. And there was a note saying, "Welcome, and get some sleep because there's going to be a car here at 5:30 in the morning to pick you up to take you to a TV show." And it wasn't just any old TV show. It was a little thing called Good Morning America. And I think that year it finished up being the 5th biggest selling book for a while on the New York Times bestseller list. Against all comers, there was no children's list. So of all books that were selling that year in America, it was number 5. And what can I say? You know, it sort of changed my life. It's all been steadily downhill from there, you understand. But it was a wonderful thing to have happen.
That's a wonderful peak.
That's right. I peaked early. And I think I had a moment where I thought, oh God, I hope I'm not a one-hit wonder. I better have a sort of, you know, another idea in my back pocket. Luckily, I just read 1 or 2 Agatha Christie's, you know, over the sort of like summer, and it occurred to me, well, maybe I could do a mystery story but hide all the clues in the artwork rather than the text. I thought, yeah, that'll work. And moments later, the 11th Hour dropped out of the sky. That's what the book's called. It's called The 11th Hour. Sounded perfect. Had no idea what the story was. So then I started just developing a story which was all about the number 11, an 11th birthday party, 11 guests at the 11th hour, you know, a mystery occurs. And again, I was so stupid. My original mystery was that all of the animals, all the guests go into one of the rooms, the drawing room of this big old house, and they find one of the guests, the dog, dead in a chair with a glass of poison. And Bob, when I told him, I said, really no, Graeme, really we can't have dead dogs in picture books. Have another think about this. So I did, and I thought, well, what do I like most about parties? And the answer, of course, is food. So I made it a stolen feast instead.
Can you explain some of the depth of the clues and the mysteries you put into this book? Because again, like how Animalia would have appealed to a certain kind of child, the 11th Hour as well, particularly that your clear love of mysteries, you've really packed quite a few puzzles into
Yeah, and once again, it would probably be deemed way too hard now, although I put lots of sort of clues and sort of hints as to how to go about it. But the main thing I did was I went to a library and I got out a book about codes, and I thought, that's a good one.
The sort of solution, the inside story, which is in the back of this edition. But you know, the cipher even, just the concept of a cipher is such a grown-up, I guess, concept for a lot of children.
I don't know. I reckon that kids get into that really quickly when you say, imagine that A is 1, right, B is 2, and they've got it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they'll spend, you know, the rest of their, you know, day just writing codes.
Yeah.
Rude words and things like that.